Oh man, here we go. It's time, man. It's time. I haven't done one of these in a minute. I forgot the last crossover I actually did this with. I think I did this with maybe the One Punch Man crossover. Who is the best Shield Hero unit? We already gonna be debating, man. I already got people with the pitchforks and everything coming up to me, and I ain't even said my piece yet. It's time to discuss who I believe are some of the best Shield Hero units come out, of course, with Shield Hero. Even though we didn't get any new units, we did get some pretty okay buffs, so I thought why not talk about them a little bit more and say who I believe to be the best out of all of them. If you want, I'm not gonna be actually breaking down the units in this video though. If you want to see that, there's a video popping up on your screen right now. You go over there and check that video out after this one, or pause this one, go check that video out and come back to this one, whatever the case may be. And one thing that I would like to mention though before this video gets into it is that if you enjoy this content or you're coming in and you're new to Grand Summoners, or the case may be, why don't you stick around, man? Click that subscribe button, like, all that good stuff. It literally only takes 2 seconds. It's completely free, and you never have to worry about my videos not being in your sub box then, because they'll always pop up in there, unless YouTube is, you know, doing YouTube things, like how their system constantly crashes every 2 weeks. The amount of times that I've loaded YouTube and it's just this blank screen is insane to me. So without further ado, let's talk about these units. So this isn't necessarily a tier list or top 5, whatever the case may be, but I do want to put these guys in an order from least to greatest. I'm not necessarily saying that this is gospel and this is how you should view the Shield Hero units, but this is how I'm currently looking at them from an analytical standpoint and a player standpoint. And let me just say, even though I'm ranking these guys from like least to best, most of these are pretty solid units, or just, you know, very okay units. No one in Shield Hero is necessarily like uber top tier. That's not coming till yeah. Why did they release you? So if you don't know all the Shield Hero units, let's list them off real quick. We're gonna be having Naofumi, Raccoon Girl, Philo, and Melty all come into the game. And all these guys will be getting a luck buff, and they'll also become luck units, which give them a little bit extra points. By the way, you can max out their luck completely for free. Just play the event. That's all you gotta do. As for who we're starting out with, we're gonna go from least to best, man. I'm gonna be honest with you, at the very bottom of the list, I don't want to do this because she is pretty solid, but you're gonna be putting Philo, man. Philo at the bottom. Pour one out for the homies, or homegirl, I guess. The reason why I'm putting Philo at the bottom is just because she is just a damage dealer. There's nothing else really going on here. No crazy new mechanics or anything. We've seen units like this come and go multiple times with the stacking mechanic. We've seen it a lot. She's pretty much a combination of like Yusuke and Dark Marzex as a unit, but she came out before Yusuke, so I guess she was the original. But still, Philo, I feel like can still output some pretty hard damage numbers if you have enough support and everything. And if I get her, I definitely want to try her in the mines whenever they come back against Palamecia to see how well she does there. But yeah, man, I mean, for a physical damage dealer, she has the attack up, she has the damage up whenever the enemy gets lower on HP. The only thing she needs is some crit chance to go through defense or some type of 100% defense ignore, and you're probably going to be seeing a lot of good results with her. But I know so many people who really don't like this unit, and I think it's just because we've seen so many of these and we have so many attacker options, man. The attackers are just such an oversaturated market whenever a new one gets released, unless the attacker is just absolutely broken like so I think that's why I'm putting her down here, and I really don't like her too much. But if I get her, I'm definitely going to be trying her against Mines Palamecia. That's all I'm going to say. For number 3, I'm going to be putting Raphtalia here, right above Philo. The reason why is pretty much the exact same thing that I said about Philo. They're just damage dealers, man. So Raphtalia's kit, I feel like it's so counterproductive. And what I mean by this is that, in theory, you would think that it would be broken for her to have everything that she does, and she wants to be alongside Taunt Tank. You would think that, oh my god, she's going to be really good in in-game content. But in actuality, she's, I want to say, okay at best in in-game. I don't think her kit really incentivizes, or I guess the word that I'm looking for here is complement a lot of in-game compositions. You're looking at in-game, you're looking specifically at attackers. What you'll notice is that a lot of the in-game content is cleared by a certain group of attackers. You usually see a lot of Decelia, you see a lot of Juno, you see a lot of Yusuke's here and there. Hell, even a few times I saw Christmas Shion. I didn't even think she existed anymore. And now, with the newest unit coming out to global, Batiste is also considered in that spot as well. But one thing that all these units have in common is that they have a lot of damage buffs just built into their kit by default. With Yusuke, you're getting attack and damage with his skill and his art. With Decelia, you're getting attack, damage, crit, all that type of stuff. With Juno, you're getting damage and accuracy plus arch gen. With Batiste, you're getting just damage on top of damage on top of damage. There's so much that each of these units offer. And then whenever you look at Raphtalia, the only thing Raphtalia is offering is that you're able to increase the max HP of a Taunt Tank by 33%, and you also have some crit rate and all that into your kit as well. But in order for you to actually take full advantage of her crit rate, for one, you need her true weapon so she can have 100% crit rate. And even for early game content or just like any type of content in general, if you want to take full advantage of her kit, you're going to be required to bring a taunt tank, which I'm going to be honest with you guys, so much content doesn't require you to do that. Like, yeah, you could bring a taunt tank to a Tazmon farm, but why would you do that? You're gonna be in that thing forever. Or you could take a taunt tank into an event to farm event currency, but why would you do that whenever you could just use a nuke team or join multiplayer and use a nuke team in multiplayer, whatever the case may be, and do it so much quicker than relying on a taunt tank to be on the team if you want everything from Raphtalia. And I think that's like the problem with me, at least for her, is that you need a taunt tank to take advantage of every single thing in her kit. But then not only that, just her base kit alone, I feel like is so lackluster in terms of damage and everything else. I just feel like she doesn't have a lot going for her, and they're really banking on you using her with a taunt tank. And when you're not, it's just like there's so many other options that are really good, at least in terms of damage dealing. I'm not saying that she's bad, but there's a lot of work that could be done. I'm not gonna lie. Now the free unit that everybody gets by playing the event, Naofumi. Naofumi, good unit, pretty good unit. Free to play taunt tank you can get during the crossover. I recommend everybody gets them, especially if you're lacking on a taunt tank. This guy can work perfectly for you to get any other taunt tank in the game. So Naofumi, free to play taunt tank. There's really not much to say about him. That's kind of like the only special thing he has going for him. He's a free to play taunt tank that you're able to max out his luck. He's very standard though in terms of a taunt tank. He has freeze and paralysis resistance, which most taunt tanks do. He's able to apply a barrier and taunt all the enemies, while also increasing damage to all allies, which isn't a thing that a lot of taunt tanks do, at least not until Miranda comes out. And then his true art is pretty unique, with it being tied to Feint. Feint is one of the strongest effects that you can apply to a boss in this game, I want to say, just because it stops the boss dead in their tracks. Like, they can't do anything, and it's really good. It's pretty much like paralysis, I guess. It's pretty much like paralysis, I guess, but I don't know. Feinting an enemy sounds a lot more menacing, intimidating than saying like, oh, I just paralyzed you. Well, I guess they're both intimidating. Really good taunt tank. The reason why you would want a taunt tank for any type of game mode or any type of content in Grand Summoners is because most of the time, in harder content, you get your ass beat pretty badly by the boss. A lot of bosses have hands, like Vitz, for example, Asus, Chloe, Ganon. If you say any of those names to a veteran GS player, you're instantly going to trigger some PTSD. And this is where you're mostly going to be seeing taunt tanks used in, is in this higher content where you need survivability, you need someone to just take all the damage, and Naofumi is offering that technically for free. But I will say that if you really like them and you want to invest more into a taunt tank and you don't think you're going to be summoning too much on any banner that has a taunt tank in the future, I definitely feel like that you're going to want both of his true weapons, which is going to be kind of expensive, especially brand new to the game, but you could probably get enough rainbow gems within your first month or two of starting, and that should be like the entire crossover. But that's the only problem with him, man, is that he needs true weapons to be extremely viable. Without the true equips on him, he's gonna be like pretty lackluster. But if you have those true equips on him, I think it's gonna be a complete game changer. But that's pretty much all he's offering though. Same thing with the damage dealers, is that Naifumi's a taunt tank, and that's all you're getting. You're not gonna get a unit that has some type of crazy mechanic we've never seen before. The only thing Naifumi's gonna be giving everybody is that damage up by 25%, which really isn't that insane. We have other units that do that as well, but I guess we don't have any other free unit that does that. Maybe we do, I'm just not thinking. And no, I don't mean Chloe. Technically, Ultra Lucky Vince, are they really free to play? That's a question you need to ask yourself. Naofumi, there's no reason for you not to use them, not to level them, not to max them out, unless you just don't like the character. But if you're starting in this game, this guy gonna be one of your best friends for a while, man, I'm telling you. And last but not least, Melty. A lot of people may see this and be like, Melty? You think Melty's the best unit from Rise of Shield Hero? And the reason why, she's going to be beneficial to anybody starting the game right now, because you're not going to really have anybody else. And she has a lot of uses outside of her just being an Archgener and like attack buffer. People have used this unit in a lot of different scenarios. Like, for example, one is actually nuking with her, which is pretty unique, but it definitely does work because of her massive damage buff that she applies on her true art, which is reducing the enemy's damage resist by 50%. That thing is practically a nuke. If you don't know, damage resist in this game, or reducing damage resist, let me say, is a multiplicative debuff, meaning that your damage is multiplied. Without getting too much into like damage formulas and all that, every single debuff and every single damage buff, of course, is counted differently in the damage formula. Some are additive and then some are multiplicative. It's good to always have a mix of both, but of course, if you could pick one or the other, a lot of people are going to be picking multiplicative damage over additive just because, of course, it provides you tons of more damage than additive bonuses. But you can use this girl in nuke compositions. You can use her as an Archgener as your support, and with Archgeners and all that being the way that they are at the moment, and considering that we're not going to be getting anybody OP too soon, hopefully. You better not be coming out in a week, bro. I swear to God. The biggest downside to Melty is going to be, of course, she has Type B Archgen. There's so many Type B Archgeners. Like, look at this list. Do you see how many there are? But she does have a 40% attack buff, which is a little bit on the low side, but still, you know, some type of damage buff. And then she also has the reduce the enemy's damage just by 50%. Just so much that I think is really solid for her and would be a great asset to have to your team. Of course, I could see people, though, saying Naofumi is the best unit from this banner, or Melty, or whatever the case may be, since Naofumi is completely free and Melty is a summonable gacha unit. And now it's time for me to suddenly burst the bubble. This is my list from least to greatest in terms of their strength and power. I'm going to say something right here, right now. These units are the strongest, I mean the strongest definition of just solid. Solid. None of these units are breaking the game. None of these units are doing anything different compared to what we have seen so far in the game. They've been in the game before, of course, whenever the first Shield Hero crossover came out, and they're luck units now, which does give them a little bit more points in terms of how much I like them. But I think the problem with Shield Hero is that the crossover itself and the units that come with it are so neutral, I guess. They're not bad, they're not good, they're just in the middle. At least Shield Hero does have units, unlike... I hope you never come back, bro. Maybe with my explanations and stuff, with all these videos, you can kind of see now why a lot of veteran players and people who played this game religiously for hours and hours on end, you know, have some of the best stuff in the game, or even people who don't have some of the best stuff in the game are skipping this banner for, of course, future banners like Phantom Snipers, Shaman King. It's just really hard to stand behind these units now just because most of them are just solid. Nobody's broken, and that's perfectly fine for this crossover to be like that. I don't think a crossover should constantly be trying to break the meta or adding some type of super OP unit, even though it does spice some things up and it gives us a little bit more variety since we are getting units from actual anime or games, movies, or the case may be, and not just Grand Summoners units. So it gives you a little bit of flavor, you know what I mean? You're not constantly seeing the same type of designs and all that. So yeah, that is my list. Tell me down below what you guys think of this list or how you would rank them personally. Or if you think that some of these units may have a little bit more uses than what I just said. For example, I think there might be something crazy you could do with Raphtalia, but I'm just not thinking of it off the top of my head. That's gonna be it for me. Thank you all again for coming out. It's been your bro P. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. And last but not least, don't forget to drink water.